Today we're gonna be cooking and tasting 100 years of military food, and I brought my friend Chef Rush to come taste everything with me.
Get on the line, damn it!
Sir, yes sir! Starting off with 1910, where the average pay for a soldier was $13 a month, and US Army uniforms looked like this.
It's 1910 and we're in World War I, and Army food is super basic, but it's really filling. Each soldier could expect to get 4,000 calories a day. I mean, that's an insane amount of calories. The food was like dull, repetitive, it lacked a ton of flavor, of course, but it was designed for efficiency and longevity. I mean, they just wanted the soldiers to get enough calories they needed to fight and survive. To heat up their food, they basically had this small, tiny device. It was a folding stove, and it was universally known as the Tommy cooker. And this allowed soldiers to at least get hot meals. So in 1910, military food was Mackinaw stew, tinned beef, crackers, some jam, and instant coffee.
All right, guys, here we are in 1910, and we're gonna rate each meal from 1 to 5 stars.
Wait a second. I got a headache because I got like a flashback. I wasn't even here in 1910, but this gave me like this chill bump. Seriously, this looks like cat food.
Yeah.
This looks like dog food.
It's World War I. They were limited in options, so this is what they had to work with.
Just the smell of this reminds me of the military.
Really? 1910 beef stew. All right, chef. Cheers.
Cheers. No, it's 1910. I get it. I'm still saying no. But it's flavorless. It's flavorless.
Yeah, so they didn't use beef broth. They had to use water.
It's water. You can tell it's water.
Yeah. They're trying to feed each soldier 4,000 calories a day.
Ooh,
that's a lot of calories.
A lot of calories.
So I want us to go ahead to try the cat food. Oh. It tastes like cat food. If you have to spit it out,
I got to swallow real quick. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Wow, that was bad. I would give it a 1.5.
Wow. I'm giving it a 2 out of 5. I guess like the beef and everything was flavorless, but I could survive off of that. But let's go ahead and see what 1920 has in store for us. In 1920, average pay for soldiers was $30 a month, and US Army uniforms looked like this.
Okay, 1920, America wasn't involved in any war, so this was a great time for them to reflect and learn lessons from World War I. And even though there were no active wars, we still had military bases that soldiers were stationed at, and even training camps where we had to feed soldiers. So the food we gave to soldiers did see a little bit of an uplift in flavor, but the main focus was nutrition and portability. But one of the greatest things that happened because of World War I is that soldiers started getting more and more chocolate. And this made soldiers extremely happy. Chocolate provided energy, nutrition, comfort, and a boost of morale. So this was something that definitely helped soldiers get through the hard times. So in 1920, military food was bacon and eggs, canned soup, bean, peas, and corn mix, chocolate, and coffee.
We're in 1920, and right off the bat, it's looking better than 1910.
Smells better also.
Yeah, we got bacon, we got eggs, and then, of course, you see chocolate.
This is 1920.
So there was a big candy boom in 1920, especially with chocolate, and soldiers had a demand for it more than anything else. Cheers. Not the best eggs and bacon I've ever had, but
not the worst.
Canned foods are huge in the military. It was served cold. Cheers. Think. Wow, that is rough. As bad as that was, let me redeem myself. We're in the Army. We got some chocolate. Chef, it's wild out there. Let's just have a moment together and have this chocolate bar.
It might be our last piece.
Cheers.
Oh, okay.
That redeemed itself a little bit.
That did. I'm gonna go with a 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always a half a point ahead of you because I was gonna give this a 3. Not bad. I just hope it gets better. Let's see what 1930 has for us. We're now in 1930, where the average pay for a soldier was $21 a month. Yeah, it went down. And US Army uniforms look like this.
It's 1930 and C rations were just developed. And if you're thinking to yourself, what are C rations? Well, rations are special packs of food that soldiers would get designed to give them enough energy and nutrition. So there were different types of rations. There was A ration, B ration, and even K ration. And these were for soldiers in different types of situations. Sometimes they'll include kitchen tools to help you make your food, like this can opener. It's called the P38 can opener, and it's super tiny and portable, and I could see why they would give this to soldiers. And these rations wouldn't always just come with food. They would include guilty pleasures like a cigarette and, sometimes even a magazine. So in 1930, military food was GI stew, canned bread, canned fruits, tobacco with rolling paper, and powdered lemonade.
We're in 1930, and I thought it was gonna get better, but we went backwards. We have GI stew here. Basically, it's corned beef hash with vegetables, and then we put the crackers in there. It smells bad. Talking about GI, Chef, were you a GI Joe fan?
Yes, I was the action figure for G.I. Joe.
Oh, you're that guy.
I'm that guy. American hero, baby.
This is rolled tobacco. They would just like put it in here, roll it up, and smoke it. Did you smoke cigarettes or any tobacco during your time? No. Wow. Let's go ahead and try this GI stew. The smell of it. Ooh. Cheers. What's happening, man?
It's like mush. It's like regurgitated.
I'm excited to dig into some canned bread here. I didn't know canned bread was a thing.
Canned bread is a thing.
Yeah.
You know, you can keep this bread around for 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years.
Cheers.
It's building up.
What's going on?
Whoa.
I'm gonna go ahead and rate this dish. It's gonna be my first 1 out of 5-star dish. It is horrific.
I know the people in 1930 say, I wish I was born in 1910. It's half.
I know this was bad, but I think it's gonna get better. It's now 1940. The average pay for a soldier was $50 a month, and US Army uniforms look like this.
We've made it to 1940, and even though sea rations were really prominent in this decade, there were also things called field kitchens. They're basically mobile kitchens that the Army used to cook food for soldiers when they were far out in the fields or even in combat zones. They were designed to provide hot meals to soldiers, so you could just imagine how excited they would get when they would hear a field kitchen's gonna show up, because they were finally gonna get different types of meals than they're used to, because, you know, everything that came in the rations were always the same. So in 1940, military food was spaghetti with meat sauce, pancake and syrup, fresh bread, an apple pie, and tea.
We've made it to 1940, and in front of a chef doesn't look that bad. This is because field kitchens were obviously a big thing.
They had one general location of where the field kitchen is going to be. It's going to be an open area where you can have like a flow line for it. So because like in food service, you want to be able to flow through because you're going to have a bunch of people at one time.
Oh.
You want to feed them quick, fast, expediently, and just make them come in and go out and keep on going. Kind of like
That's
today's kind of like McDonald's.
Yeah. We got pancakes, we got an apple pie, we got pasta, fresh bread.
It's such a weird combination though. What's that metallic taste?
I think that's the tin. This is better than most of the desserts we've had so far.
This is a hot apple pie.
Cheers. Oh, very hot.
But delicious, huh? Actually kind of flaky.
Yeah, oh man.
A little crust on it. I'm okay with that.
Probably the worst pasta I've ever had. But considering everything, I think the apple pie really held everything up here. 2.5 stars out of 5.
Apple pie, saved for the day, 2 stars.
Let's see if 1950 is any better.
1950, here we come.
It's 1950. The average pay for a soldier is $75 a month, and US Army uniforms look like this.
In the 1950s, the military introduced MCI ration, which stood for Meal Combat Individual, and it was to replace the C rations because so many soldiers were complaining about the mundane food that they would eat every single day. It still had a ton of canned food, and the quality was basically the same, but at least you got variety, so you weren't eating the same thing over and over again. Also, as you guys could see, I'm heating up the food in the can, and this is what soldiers had to do at the time because they didn't have kitchen tools at their disposal. I mean, this was also harmful to do. I mean, you got chemical leaching, metal toxicity from the cans, so it wasn't ideal, but they gotta work with what they can. So in the 1950s, military food was bean and sausage, peanut butter, crackers, canned chocolate pudding, and powdered milk.
We're in 1950, and I just feel like these things are getting worse. You see what's in front of us?
What is it?
We got canned sausage and canned beans. The way they got this food was supply drops. Are they like looking in the sky and then chasing the food?
No, you have drop zone. Not saying it's gonna hit directly on that coordination, but it'll hit in that area.
Have you ever had a situation where you got a supply drop, but then it like fell further away and you didn't get what you needed?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a pain.
Well, let's go ahead and try this delicious. It looks horrible. Cheers. Oh my goodness. They also gave canned chocolate pudding. Let's try that. Cheers. It's not horrible.
That's not horrible.
Yeah.
I'll take that sweetness any day over this right here.
Definitely.
I'll give it a 2, and that's me being generous.
All right.
Because this was like, hey, it's hard that time. 1950, it was the heat of battle right there.
Definitely. I give it 2.5. Let's get out of this high stress, high combat situation.
This is stressing me out.
Yeah, let's settle down in the 1960s.
Okay.
It's 1960, and the average pay for a soldier is $83 a month, and US Army uniforms look like this.
It's 1960 and we're at the peak of the Vietnam War, and MCI rations were still a thing, but the military started exploring dehydrated and freeze-dried meals. It was super light to carry, and all you had to do is just throw in some boiling hot water, mix it up, and just wait for it to be done. But in a minute here, you're about to see why freeze-dried meals weren't any better than canned goods. Another thing that the soldiers would receive in the Vietnam War were care packages from home. Things like their favorite snacks and even homemade cookies. I mean, as a soldier, if you're in war and you get that, I can't even imagine the boost of morale that has. So in the 1960s, military food was freeze-dried meals, homemade cookies, Cheez-Its, and hot chocolate.
We're in 1960 now. This is where freeze-dried became really popular because it's light to carry. All you gotta add to it is some hot water. It looks horrible, but it doesn't smell that bad.
It does.
I feel like it's been hell for us these last few decades. Oh my goodness. The texture on this is crazy weird. Oh my goodness. I lost it up. Oh my god. Bro, what the
That's nasty, bro.
Oh my goodness. What the was that, man? Oh, Chef, we're back.
Woo!
Chef, what was that?
That was a hard one.
I'd rather take the GI stew over this. Let's go ahead and cleanse our palate with some baked homemade goods made from our parents. Oh.
Still rating a 0.
I'm gonna agree with Chef on this one. Our first 0
We
out
did
of 5.
it again.
This is by far the worst one we've had. We've made it to 1970, and the average pay for a soldier is $193 a month, and US Army uniforms look like this.
Okay, it's 1970 and America is still in the Vietnam War. And because of this, American soldiers were walking around local shops, so they were introduced to Asian cuisine, like fried rice, pho noodle soup, spring rolls. I mean, these are just a few things that American soldiers fell in love with. And because of this, Vietnamese food became super popular in America after soldiers came back from the war because they were craving all that delicious food they were eating in Vietnam. So in 1970, military food was Vietnamese stir fry, rice, tropical fruits, beef jerky, and Vietnamese iced coffee.
We're in 1970, and I'm smiling, and Chef Rush is kind of smiling because in front of us, we actually have what seems like a delicious meal. This is 1970. We're in Vietnam. A lot of the soldiers there would go and have local food. Let's go ahead and try this. This might be one of the best foods. Chef, we made it.
Why we had to go to another country?
With a little bit of rice too. Oh, come on.
Nice, flavorful, right? Nice little sauce on that.
Caramelized with that brown sugar. Oh my goodness. We got tropical fruits. My favorite, kiwi.
Bingo.
What's going on here? Wow. Have you ever had Vietnamese coffee?
I love Vietnamese coffee.
Right.
This is 1970, right here with this. It's a 5 for me. I gotta go to the top of the food chain. It's a 5 for me.
Yeah, I 100% agree. A 5 for sure. This is by far the best meal we've had. Let's go ahead and get right into the 80s, which might be a little bit more familiar to Chef Rush. Finally made it to 1980, and the average pay for a soldier is $459 a month, and US Army uniforms look like this.
We're now in 1980, and this is the most significant change to military food because MREs are officially introduced. And MRE stood for Meal Ready to Eat, and they were these packages that came with a variety of different things in them, like mixed fruits, nutritious energy bars, crackers, and even main dishes like chicken stews. I mean, MREs were revolutionary to military food. They were super convenient, they had self-heating mechanisms, they were lighter than ever, and they had a variety of different meals. MREs changed the way soldiers ate food in the field forever. I mean, we use it till this day. So in 1980, military food was the introduction of MREs.
We are officially in 1980 here. You're familiar with MREs?
I am.
Yeah.
I used to test them.
You used to
The
test
Pentagon.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Basically doing what you're doing with me,
Right.
but in the Pentagon.
Yeah.
So it's less cooler here.
Much less. When I was in the field so much, We had very high calorie MREs, like 4,000 plus. But I was eating like 3 at a time
In one sitting?
in one sitting. It was about survival.
And start with the chicken stew.
Is this chicken? Oh, that's so cold.
Didn't even heat it up.
Oh my God.
What is that? Was it this bad, Chef?
No.
These crackers are questionable, but cheers. Ugh, that is processed cheese.
Whoa.
Well, let's hope that this cheese-filled pretzel saves this MRE kit.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with
Even though they dry.
that. We got ourselves a chocolate protein drink. Oh. Look at this. Why is it clumpy like this? Oh, yours is a little smoother than mine. It smells like liquor, right?
You're like alcohol. Like it's flammable or something.
Cheers. Cheers. No.
Oh,
That is the worst protein shake I've ever had in my entire life.
jeez.
What is that? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and rate this MRE kit a 1 out of 5.
I'll give it a half.
We're heading over to 1990. This was the year that I was born, and this was the year that you were actually serving in the military.
No, I was born,
Oh, you were born.
but I served.
Oh, right out of the womb.
Right out.
Wow. We're now in 1990, and the average pay for a soldier is $781 per month, and U.S. Army uniforms look like this.
It's 1990, and MREs are still the primary rations that were given to soldiers, but they also had mess halls, which were basically like cafeterias. These military cafeterias are in areas that are way less active, non-combat zones, so it was super safe to eat there. And because it was a cafeteria, soldiers got better food than they would eat in the field, of course. And besides the better food that they would get, soldiers would also feel a sense of community in these cafeterias because they were able to sit together, conversate, and kind of relate to what was going on. So in 1990, military food was roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, steamed vegetables, ice cream, and Coca-Cola.
We're here in 1990. We have what they would serve in mess halls, which is basically what, like cafeterias. Whenever you were in the military, was it like more of like a self-serving? You just walked up like a buffet style, or?
No self-serving.
Okay.
If it was self-serving, they wouldn't give you this little small. Look how small this is.
Yeah.
Can they see this? This is like this big. Are we gonna share this?
No, I mean, you'll have the leg, I'll have the breast, but
The
yeah.
breast bigger than the leg.
Then you can have the breast, I'll have the leg.
Then the military also is survival of the fittest.
Cheers.
It's a good piece of chicken.
Yeah, just
It
a
is.
little under seasoned. At least we got some steamed vegetables.
I don't look forward to steamed vegetables. I want fresh vegetables.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yep. It sucks.
This is 1990, this is your decade. What do you rate this dish?
I'm gonna give this a 2.
Yeah, this was freshly made. So I'm gonna go right down the middle and give it 2.5.
This was tasteless. This was mash.
Yeah.
The chicken was the one why I gave it a 2, even though it was just this small. But it was good.
Well, let's now go into the new millennium, the 2000s. It's the 2000s, and the average pay for a soldier is $1,134 a month, and U.S. Army uniforms look like this.
We've made it to the 2000s, and there's this alternative to MREs called FSRs, which stands for First Strike Rations. These rations were designed for high combat areas and stressful situations where you're on the go. And because of that, these foods had to be light and easy to consume without stopping for a full meal. Things like dried fruits and even energy gels were so efficient for these rations. So in the 2000s, military food was a sandwich wrap, protein bars, dried fruit, energy gels, and Gatorade.
Guys, comment who's bigger. You know what? I look like SpongeBob's hand. Like when SpongeBob, you know, he has like a stick. These were FSRs, which was First Strike Rations. And this was for light, quick, we're in combat, and we gotta just get you fed. We got some dried fruits, we got a turkey wrap. This is a basic ass turkey wrap. I'm gonna give it a try. Boring. Cheese helps a little bit.
When I went to combat, I used to see this right here. I used to always imagine in my head that if I drank it, I'm gonna get some type of superhero power from the government. And I realized it wasn't true.
Did you ever get dried fruits?
I'm a fan of dry fruit.
Yeah.
I like dry fruit.
I feel like it gets the job done. Get your vitamins, you get some sugar in there. I don't know how good the protein bars were there.
It's not crazy, man.
What would you rate this, chef?
Just because of the situation and being combat ready, 2.
2? I'm gonna go to 2. You're right. Because it's like, what else do you want? You want a steak dinner?
I mean, yeah.
But let's go ahead and head to our last decade. I think you might like this one.
I hope so.
We've made it to our last decade, and the average pay for a soldier is $1,447 a month, and US Army uniforms look like this.
We finally made it to our last decade, the 2010s, and Chef Rush just said he wanted a steak, and as you guys can see, I'm about to cook up a steak. And no, soldiers didn't have steak dinners in the field or even in the cafeterias. They would have this tradition that happened every year called dine-ins. It's this formal event that happens in these beautiful dine halls, and they would have delicious meals for soldiers in the military, and it's mostly to commemorate and kind of show respect for everything they've done for the country. And as you guys could see, they had delicious wine, and the food was top echelon. And Chef Rush is going to explain more about this, but this is something that soldiers cherish till this day. So in 2010, military food is filet mignon, shrimp cocktail, roasted veggies, cheesecake, and of course, some wine.
We've made it to our last decade's 2010. But this is the food that they would have in dine-ins. And
Dine-in is a part of a camaraderie where you get a bunch of military guys, whether it be officers, enlisted, whatnot, and they just want to show appreciation for them coming in. So we'll have a sit-down dinner, which can consist of something really nice, fancy, even some drinking, as you see we have right here, a little bit more where you can be more relaxed, and the food is up here. This looks nice, tasty, tender.
they had some steak, they had shrimp cocktail, roasted veggies.
Surf and turf.
Surf and turf. Yeah. We got some beautiful cheesecake here, and of course, a glass of wine. How are the events? Are they usually wild? Are people like dancing on the tables, or is it more of like a tame professional thing?
It's more like a tame professional thing. You still got to go back to work and look at the people's face. So they're like, I saw what he did.
Cheers. Tender.
Flavorful.
Seasoned perfectly. Oh man.
We should dine in more often.
It's not all bad. I splurge a little bit.
Good splurge.
That is fantastic. Oh, I love a good shrimp cocktail.
Oh, nice juicy shrimp.
As a dessert guy, are you kidding me? A cheesecake?
Okay, I gotta have the
You
cheese.
gotta have a cheesecake, chef. This is dining. We're celebrating. Cheers. Well made, well done. All that torture throughout the entire decades we've been through kind of makes it a little worth it if we're gonna have a dish like this every year.
I don't know if it was worth it to go through all that.
I'm gonna go ahead and rate this dish a 5 out of 5. What do you give it?
I'm doubling it.
Oh, it was up
Nice,
there.
nice.
It's really good.
Really good.
Chef, thank you for your service and thank you for coming today. This was a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You guys make sure to subscribe to Chef's channel, and we'll see you in the next one.